Hey everyone, I hope you are doing well. I'm back with another interesting Salesforce admin questions video. So in this video, I'm going to cover some admin questions. So these are very important questions, very interesting ones. So stay with me. So the first question is, if C is the junction object for A and B object, which object's security is followed, A or B, for the junction object C? Okay. There are three objects, A, B, and C is the junction object. So it's a many to many relationship. So the question is, A is having some security considerations, right? And B is having some different security considerations than A. So in this case, if the C is junction object, which object's security will be followed, A or B? Okay, so the answer is the junction object will inherit sharing setting from its primary master. Okay, so this is the important keyword, primary master. Okay, so the one which was associated first to it. So suppose B is the primary master, then C will inherit the security from B. Now how to identify what's the primary master? The first master detail relationship you create on the junction object becomes the primary relationship. So the junction object will always follow the security considerations of the object which was associated first to it. So the answer is simple, it's inherited from primary master. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Then the next question is, what is the difference between freezing user and deactivating user? Now you know that there is freeze button on every user record. Okay, now what happens when you freeze the user and what happens when you deactivate the user? So if you can understand by names, freezing is kind of a temporary solution and deactivating a user is kind of permanent solution. Okay, so freezing is kind of momentary, you can unfreeze that user. Okay, so deactivating a user in the Salesforce means that user will not be deleted from the system but will no longer be able to log in to the Salesforce, and their records, this is the important point, their records can be transferred to another user. Okay, so their records are transferred to another user if the user is deactivated, and they cannot be part of any automated process. Deactivating a user will free up the user license and it will make it available for the use in your organization. Okay, it will free up the user license. Okay, so keep these 2 points in the mind. Then if you freeze the user, okay, Salesforce only stops the user from being able to log in. Okay, records are not transferred, user license is not available, Salesforce will only stop that user from being able to log in. Why there is this option then? In some cases you can't immediately deactivate a user, so to prevent users from logging into your organization while you perform the steps to deactivate them, you can freeze the user accounts. Okay, so as I said, this is kind of temporary solution till you deactivate that user completely, till you kick that user completely out of your system. Okay, so that's the difference between freezing user and deactivating the user. Then the next question is, what is the difference between public groups and queues? Again, commonly asked questions. Interviewers ask such kind of questions because these are confusing questions and they sound so similar. Public groups and queues, very synonymous. Now see, we have roles. So public groups, so suppose there are profiles, and to open up the access we have concept of permission sets, right? Similarly, you have roles but you want to open up the access, so you have public groups. Okay, this is same analogy, profile permission set, roles public group. So public groups are similar to roles what permission sets are to profiles, and administrator can create ad hoc groups of users, naming them individually or by roles, to be able to share records with them. So this is simple, public groups are there to share records. Now what about queues? Now queues also allows grouping users, but they are used for the record ownership. Okay, highlight this word, record ownership, rather than sharing rules. The classic use is for cases, to assign an open case to a team of people so that whoever is available first handles it. So for example, you group these people who can take up open cases, so you put them in a queue and you assign the cases in the queue. Okay, so this is about taking ownership of that task or of that record. Okay, now in public groups you have shared the records, you know, they may not have any responsibility or any accountability or any action to take on that record, they just want to see those records. So it's just about sharing records, and queues are more about actioning on those records. So I hope it makes sense. Okay, then the next question is, what's going on with AI in the Salesforce ecosystem. So in between technical questions, interviewers can ask such type of questions. What's going on with the AI in the Salesforce ecosystem? So they are trying to check how much you have kept yourself updated with the latest knowledge, with the latest updates from the Salesforce. The answer of this question that I'm going to explain, so this answer is relevant to 2024, but if you are watching this video after 2024, then you know these things might have evolved and changed a lot. So please Google this question again and you will get the latest answer. But for now, you can answer Salesforce have had a suite of Einstein AI products for years, which have largely served as analytical and predictive tools. Okay, so you can name some tools like Einstein Discovery, Einstein Prediction Builder, Einstein Next Best Action, bots. Then Salesforce AI Cloud. AI Cloud uses this Einstein GPT trust layer, which allows data within Salesforce org to be used by the AI while protecting it. So first is Einstein AI, then AI Cloud, then you can mention Genie. Okay, then they can ask for a use case. Now Salesforce has started using Einstein everywhere, like even in flow builders. If you have Einstein license, then you can just give a prompt and then the flow will automatically build a sample template for you based on your prompt. Okay, so this is the example of use case how Salesforce is using AI to make development simpler and efficient. Okay, so you should research about such things before interviews, so it will really help you to impress the interviewers, and it will also help you to keep yourself updated with the latest knowledge. So that's why I included this question in the video. Then the next question is, what is an external ID? So again, very common question. As an admin, you may not use external ID in early stage of your career because it's related to API calls and integration stuff, but you should know what that field is used for. Okay, so external ID is basically the ID field but from the external system. This field is used to reference an ID from another external system. So external IDs are searchable in the Salesforce, and you can also use the upsert API call with the external ID to refer to records when making changes via data loader. Okay, so external ID is nothing but unique identifier for the third party system or any ERP or legacy system. So if you have the same record in the Salesforce with Salesforce ID, so to map between these two IDs there is an external ID field. Okay, so on the same record you will have this Salesforce ID and external ID. Okay, so in this way you will come to know that in our old system the ID of the old record was this. Okay, so suppose there is old system and you just migrated to Salesforce. So suppose in your old system this record was stored by this ID 145675. So external ID is there to establish a link between this third party external system and your Salesforce record. Okay, so I hope it makes sense. So if you want to read more about it, I can provide the documentation links in the comment section. So instead of searching here and there, you can read more about it on the documentation page. So that's all for this video. I hope all the questions covered in this video were useful to you. I have other videos on my channel where I have covered such more admin level interview questions, and these are realistic questions. These are not at all bookish questions. I have matched the difficulty level to the actual Salesforce interviews happening in the real world. So you can check out my other videos too. If you have liked this video, press the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.